If you are planning to fly anywhere within the United States right now, whether you are on a visa, have a green card, or even if you are undocumented, you need to stop and watch this entire video, because what I am about to share with you could literally save you from being detained at the airport. The Transportation Security Administration is now sharing every single passenger's information directly with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and this is creating chaos at airports across America. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you will know exactly what is happening, who is at risk, and most importantly, what you need to do to protect yourself before you board your next flight. Hello everyone and welcome back to US Visa Portal, the channel where we bring you the most critical and up-to-date information about immigration policies, visa regulations, and everything you need to know to navigate the complex world of United States immigration. I am so glad you are here today because we need to talk about something that is affecting millions of travelers right now. And honestly, not enough people are talking about it before we dive deep into today's topic. If this is your first time joining us here on US Visa Portal, please take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. This way, you will never miss any of our crucial updates that could directly impact your immigration status or your ability to travel. And if you find this information valuable, please give us a big thumbs up. It really helps YouTube share these important videos with more people, just like you who need this information. Your support means everything to us and helps us continue bringing you these critical updates. Now let us get straight into what is happening at airports across the United States, because this is something that could affect you or someone you know very soon. About a week ago, we received confirmation of something that has been quietly rolling out since May of last year, but is now being massively expanded. The Transportation Security Administration, which you know as the people who check your bags and IDs before you board flights, is now systematically sharing detailed passenger information with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And I am not talking about just a few people or specific watch lists. I am talking about every single passenger who goes through airport security in the United States. Let me be crystal clear about what this means. Every time you fly domestically within the United States, your information is being sent to Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This is not speculation. This is not a rumor. This is actually happening right now at airports across the country, and it is about to get much more widespread in the coming months. So why is this happening? Well, this entire program stems from executive orders that were signed expanding data sharing between federal agencies. It started with the Internal Revenue Service sharing information, then the Social Security Administration got involved, and now the Transportation Security Administration has been brought into this entire ecosystem of information sharing. The goal, according to officials, is to enhance immigration enforcement and identify people who may be in the country without proper authorization or who have outstanding immigration issues. But here is what makes this particularly concerning. The Transportation Security Administration is now required to share specific passenger data 2 to 3 times every single week. Think about that for a moment, multiple times per week. Lists containing thousands upon thousands of names are being automatically transmitted to Immigration and Customs Enforcement databases. Now, you are probably wondering what exactly is being shared about me. When I fly, the data being transmitted includes your full legal name, exactly as it appears on your identification, your complete date of birth, and critically the time and destination of your travel. This means Immigration and Customs Enforcement knows not only who you are, but exactly where you are going and when you are supposed to arrive. Once this information hits their systems, it is automatically cross-referenced using artificial intelligence technology against their internal databases. They are looking for matches with people who have overstayed visas, individuals with outstanding deportation orders, people who have had criminal convictions, or anyone else who might be flagged in their system for immigration-related issues. But there is another layer to this that is equally troubling. Some Transportation Security Administration officers are now receiving training on how to question passengers about their immigration status. Now, traditionally, these agents were focused solely on security threats, Things like dangerous items, prohibited substances, weapons, that sort of thing. But now, some of these officers are being instructed to look at immigration, documents, and make determinations about people's legal status in the United States. Let me share a real example that happened just recently, because this illustrates exactly what can go wrong. There was a young woman traveling from Los Angeles to New York. She is here legally on a student visa attending university. Her actual visa stamp in her passport had expired, but she had a valid I-20 form and a valid I-94, which, for those of you who do not know, these are the documents that prove you are legally allowed to be in the United States as a student. Even if your visa stamp has expired, this is completely normal and completely legal. You do not need a valid visa stamp to stay in the United States or travel domestically. You only need it to re-enter the country from abroad. So what happened? The Transportation Security Administration officer saw her foreign passport, asked to see her visa, noticed it was expired, and despite her explaining that she had the proper documents to be in the country, this officer did not understand the immigration regulations. The agent pulled her out of line, notified Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and she missed her flight. Eventually, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents arrived, checked everything in their computer system, confirmed she was completely legal, and let her go. But by that time, she had already missed her flight, had to book a hotel, and had to fly out the next day, losing both time and money, and nobody compensated her for any of this. Now let us talk about what is happening with actual arrests and detentions, because this is where things get really serious. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents are now being strategically positioned at airports across the country. They are not just passively receiving lists anymore, they are actively waiting at terminals, ready to question and potentially detain passengers. Here is how this works in practice when Immigration and Customs Enforcement receives those weekly lists from the Transportation Security Administration. Their artificial intelligence systems immediately start cross-referencing the names when they get a match for someone. They are looking for someone who overstayed their visa, someone with a deportation order, or someone with certain criminal convictions. They can position agents at that person's destination airport or even prevent them from boarding in the first place. We are hearing reports from travelers who have landed at their destination only to find Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents waiting specifically for them. In other cases, people have been stopped before boarding and prevented from flying altogether. This type of enforcement at airports was extremely rare in the past. Traditionally, Immigration and Customs Enforcement focused their resources on other types of enforcement operations, and they generally left domestic travelers alone, but that is changing dramatically, and it is going to get worse as we move further into this year. This program has been operating since May, but it was limited to certain airports. Now it is being expanded to cover all airports nationwide, and the volume of information being shared is increasing to a weekly basis. Some Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials are reporting that they have seen an increase of over 65% in arrests of immigrants at airports and transit locations. These are people who otherwise would never have been detained, people who were just trying to fly to visit family, attend business meetings, or go on vacation within the United States. So let us talk specifically about who needs to be most concerned about this policy, because different categories of people face different levels of risk first. And most obviously, if you are in the United States without any legal status, if you overstayed your visa, and do not have any pending applications or protection, you are at the highest level of risk. The good news is that as long as you have a valid passport, the Transportation Security Administration should still allow you to board domestic flights. A passport is a valid form of identification for flying within the United States. However, once your information is shared with Immigration and Customs Enforcement and they cross-reference it with their databases, they are going to see that you entered the country months or years ago, that your authorized stay has expired, and they may want to question you or detain you at the airport. Second, people who are in transition with their immigration status need to be very careful. What do I mean by transition? I am talking about people who have filed for a change of status, people who have filed extensions of their visas, people who are waiting for approvals, or people whose status might not be immediately clear from looking at their documents. You might be completely legal, but if your documentation is not straightforward, you could face questioning that causes you to miss flights or face unnecessary delays. For example, if you filed to change from a tourist visa to a student visa, or if you are extending your work visa, you need to travel with all of your documentation. Do not just carry your passport. Bring your receipt notices, bring your I-94, bring any approval notices you have. Bring everything that proves you are in legal status, even if it is not immediately obvious. Third, deferred action for childhood arrivals recipients need to be particularly cautious. This provides work authorization and protection from deportation, but it is not a visa and it is not a pathway to citizenship. Sometimes it is not immediately clear to enforcement officers what this status means or how it works. If you only have your work permit card and you are in the process of renewing, you could face questioning or delays. I anticipate that some holders will be temporarily detained or questioned long enough to miss their flights, while officers verify their status. The same concerns apply to people with temporary protected status. Even if your temporary protected status is current and valid, if you are in the process of renewal, or if officers are not familiar with temporary protected status from your particular country, you could face issues. Fourth, and this surprises some people, even green card holders can be at risk in certain situations. If you are a lawful permanent resident, but you have had a driving under the influence conviction, or if you are going through criminal court proceedings, or if you have certain types of criminal history. Immigration and Customs Enforcement might flag your information. They cross-reference the Transportation Security Administration data with criminal databases as well. So if you are a green card holder traveling domestically and they see you are in the court system or you have certain convictions, you might be pulled aside for questioning in extreme cases. Depending on the nature of the conviction and your specific situation, you could even face detention while they investigate whether your green card status should be revoked. Let me share another real case that just happened a few weeks ago because it really drives home how serious this situation has become. A 19-year-old woman named Lucia Lopez was traveling to Hawaii to visit family. She went through airport security just like any other passenger. But because of this data sharing program, Immigration and Customs Enforcement had flagged her information when she arrived in Hawaii. Agents were waiting for her at the airport. She was detained right there, taken to a separate room, questioned extensively, and according to reports, she was intimidated into signing documents without fully understanding what she was signing. She was then placed into deportation proceedings. Immediately, think about how terrifying that must have been. You are 19 years old. You are trying to visit family. You land at your destination. And suddenly you are surrounded by federal agents, separated from anyone who might help you, put in a room and pressured to sign papers. This is the reality of what can happen when you are stopped at an airport by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They have enormous power in that moment. They can detain you, they can question you for hours, they can pressure you to sign documents that might waive your rights or agree to voluntary departure, and you are in an incredibly vulnerable position, especially if you are stressed, scared, or separated from family members who might advocate for you. So what can you do with this information? How can you protect yourself if you need to fly domestically? I am going to give you very specific, actionable advice right now. First, and most importantly, you need to understand your current immigration status. Completely. Are you undocumented? Has your visa expired? Are you in the middle of filing for an extension or change of status? Do you have pending applications? You need to know exactly where you stand legally before you even think about booking a flight. If you are undocumented or if you have overstayed your visa, you need to very carefully assess the risk of flying. I am not telling you that you absolutely cannot travel if you have a valid passport. The Transportation Security Administration should still allow you to board with a valid passport as identification, but you need to understand that you are taking a real risk. Right now, this program is still being rolled out. It started a few months ago, and many airports are still in the early stages of implementation. We know it is going to get significantly more widespread and more aggressive throughout this year as the program expands to all airports nationwide. But right now, depending on which airports you are flying through and various other factors, you might be okay. However, you need to understand that there is a real possibility you could be detained if you decide the trip is important enough to take that risk. Here is what you should do first. Travel with someone who knows your situation. Someone who can help you if something goes wrong, someone who knows who to call second. Have the phone number of an immigration attorney programmed into your phone and written down on paper. If you are detained, you have the right to contact an attorney. Third, do not sign anything without speaking to a lawyer. No matter how much pressure you are under, agents might tell you that things will be easier if you just sign that. You will be released faster, that it is just a formality. Do not sign anything without legal advice. If you are someone who is in the middle of an immigration process, if you are extending your visa, changing status, or waiting for approvals, my advice is to travel with every single piece of documentation you have. I am talking about your passport, your I-94, any receipt notices from United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, any approval notices, any work permits, your I-20 if you are a student, your DS-2019 if you are on a work visa. Literally everything, put it all in a folder and keep it with you in your carry-on bag. Why all of this documentation? Because if you are questioned, you need to be able to immediately prove your legal status. Remember that Transportation Security Administration officers and even some immigration and customs enforcement agents might not be fully trained on the nuances of immigration law. They might not understand that you can be in legal status even with an expired visa stamp, or that a receipt notice proves you have a pending application that maintains your status. Having everything with you in an organized way can make the difference between a 2-minute conversation and missing your flight. For deferred action for childhood arrivals recipients and temporary protected status holders, the same advice applies. Carry your work authorization card, carry any approval notices, carry any renewal receipts. Carry everything and be prepared to calmly explain your status if questioned. For green card holders, obviously carry your green card, but also be aware that if you have any criminal history, even something like a driving under the influence, you should consult with an immigration attorney before traveling. Some criminal convictions can potentially affect your permanent resident status, and you want to know exactly where you stand before you put yourself in a situation where immigration and customs enforcement might question you. Here is something else that is really important. You have rights, even if you are undocumented. If you are stopped by immigration and customs enforcement at an airport, you have the right to remain silent. You do not have to answer questions about where you were born, how you entered the country, or what your immigration status is. You can simply say, "I want to speak to an attorney, and I am exercising my right to remain silent." You also have the right to refuse to sign anything. As I mentioned earlier, agents might pressure you to sign voluntary departure forms or other documents. You do not have to sign anything, and you should not sign anything without speaking to a lawyer first. Once you sign certain documents, it can be very difficult or impossible to fight your case later. If you are detained, ask to make a phone call. Call your family. Call an attorney. Call someone who can help you. Do not let them isolate you and make you feel like you have no options. Now, I want to be very clear about something. I am not trying to scare anyone unnecessarily. I am not saying that every single person who flies is going to be detained. The reality is that most people will fly without any issues. The chances that your specific name will be flagged and that immigration and customs enforcement will have agents positioned to stop you are still relatively small, especially right now. While this program is still being fully implemented, however, it is happening. It is happening more and more frequently, the numbers are increasing dramatically, and you need to be aware of this reality. Before you fly, knowledge is power. And being informed about what could happen allows you to make smart decisions. Prepare appropriately and protect yourself and your family if you need help with any immigration matter. If you are unsure about your status, if you need advice about whether it is safe for you to travel, or if you need representation, please reach out for professional legal help. You can send a text to 609-483-344549 or visit www.immigration.com. Leave your details and someone from the team will contact you as soon as possible to discuss your specific situation before you go. I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you experienced any issues traveling domestically recently? Have you been questioned about your immigration status at an airport? Are you worried about flying because of this new policy? Let me know in the comments below. Your experiences help other people in our community understand what is really happening out there. And once again, if you found this information valuable, please do me a favor and share this video with anyone you know who might need to hear this. Share it with your family members, your friends, your co-workers, anyone who travels domestically and has any kind of immigration status concern. This information could literally prevent someone from being detained, so please help us spread the word. Do not forget to subscribe to U.S. Visa Portal if you have not already, and turn on those notifications so you never miss our important updates. We are constantly monitoring these situations and bringing you the latest information as soon as it becomes available. Thank you so much for watching today's video and for being part of the U.S. Visa Portal community. Remember, staying informed is your best defense in these challenging times. We are here to help you navigate these complex immigration issues and to make sure you have the information you need to make smart, safe decisions. For yourself and your family, stay safe out there, be careful when you travel, and as always, we will see you in the next video with more important updates. Until then, take care, stay informed, and keep fighting for your dreams in the United States. This is U.S. Visa Portal, and we will talk to you very soon.